All right, we're gonna do our emphasis sketchbook project, which we're going to be using chalk, warm colors, cool colors, warm colors, cool colors, to create the emphasis on either moon or sun. If you want it to look more like a sunset or sunrise, warm colors are more appropriate. If you want it to look more moon-like, the cool colors are more appropriate. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna take a white sheet of paper, preferably not dragging it around. Technically, you could probably just use a cup or what have you. On the plates, I have these little pieces of round plastic, and you're gonna choose whether you want warm or cool. I like to start with my lightest value first. So say for example, I want to do a sunrise. I'm gonna do yellow, go around it. Holding it down real tightly is not super important right at this very second. Go around it. So I'm kind of working my way around the color wheel. I had yellow. I could have started with red, but usually like around the actual sun, you're gonna have more lighter range of value just because the light is there. Adding in some red violet. Remember on the color wheel, that line between warm and cool is red violet and yellow green. So technically, those colors can go either way when it comes to warm and cool because they're right on the border. If I wanted to like put a yellow green in here, I could put that near the yellow green or yellow. What's that? So I've got this open space. Now is where I'm gonna hold this down, and I'm gonna take a piece of paper towel or toilet paper or a tissue, and I'm just gonna start rubbing the paper and blending. Like you can always add more on there. If you wanted to make it a lighter value, like misty sunrise, you could add white to it. I am not gonna have white out at the tables. I'm just gonna have warm and cool. But when you pull this white, I should say, plastic piece away, it will leave that white circle, which then turns into that area of emphasis or a focal point. Then you're gonna spray it with hairspray. It may make it curve and curl a little bit. That's just because you'll have a, the paper has more weight on one side because you wanna get it on there pretty heartily. Then you can use your blending toilet paper or paper towel to just wipe that excess away. And after that, you're gonna add some sort of landscape. So I did this tree. By the way, if you want to uncurl this, you kind of like just roll it over the table in the opposite direction from where it's curled. And that'll make it lay flat again. Makes it flat now. So I drew this tree in with marker, taking my time. I'm going to show you how to do it with the paint. The paint tends to look better. This is just this particular one is a crappy acrylic, but the tempera, black tempera, works well. I'm going to add a little tiny bit of water so it's a little flowier for doing the tree. So if I wanted this to be a lake, I could honestly do my color all the way down, but I'm gonna make it into more of a landscape. So I'm gonna go in here, I'm gonna leave, let's see, I'm just gonna do a little poof of trees. um, in the distance on the horizon. So just kind of like doobity doobity doobity. And like where it's lighter, it'll kind of almost pick up that highlight. So like where it meets the horizon, just kind of darken it, and then you can just kind of leave it. Lighter. And then I kind of want, so if you do decide to put some color down in your land, put some green. Don't mix the warm colors and cool colors in their containers, but if you want to add color down there, see, don't put the yellow back with the greens and purples. Keep the yellows, oranges, pinks, reds to themselves. I'm gonna add a little line here. I'm gonna add some shadows at the edges. So if I would want to add like a lake, I could add blues and things, and I put that for highlight, kind of picks up the color there. I'm doing a little shading between my foreground, middle ground, background. And you know, we talked about contrast a bit, between light and dark in your vocabulary. So this is really showing your light, whereas the land area is showing the dark. That's part of why emphasis is really important. It lets you focus where you want your viewer to look. So I've got now a little land going on, and because this was free chalk that is not sprayed yet, I am gonna spray that, because until the chalk is sprayed with either a workable fixative, which smells terrible, or hairspray, which smells much better, you know, it does the same exact job. It basically keeps those little powdery bits from flying all over the place. So I want to make, let's see, I want to make a tree. So I'm doing, like, I started up here and I just put the very tip of the brush down. If you do it really, really lightly, okay, obviously you have to find a brush that has a point. If you dip it in water and it's all fuzzy at the end, it's not going to do this. So I'm starting making these Y's, like why did I draw a tree? It's a good way to break things down and get more realistic trees. I'm going to thicken this up as it gets in the middle. I'm going to bring it out here where the sun is. Thicken up the trunk. I'm going to add a little shadow underneath here too. So to get a point, and a lot of times with Y's, like of drawing in twigs and things, I try to do it super light and almost like a wave, because most of the time if you're drawing tree limbs, like your sticks aren't going to be a straight line, so it's kind of like I know you guys don't always learn cursive, but like kind of giving it a fancy kind of curl to it, almost like if you're writing really fast, you're just kind of like, it is a Y, it's fine. And if I wanted to, I want to make that thicker toward the bottom. Like maybe I want to make like a little bird. is where maybe drawing with a pencil first would have been a good plan. But even if something doesn't like look exactly like you want it, like right at that very second, oh, that's much better. I like that. You can also take a marker after this paint dries and you can go in and add your details, so that's way better. But you know, even if you do something and it's not exactly how you wanted it first, don't worry. Like, nobody said this has to be absolutely perfect. What the whole reason why I have you doing the project for this sketchbook is to talk about emphasis. Like, the emphasis is on the brightness of either your sun or your moon, and then you're going in and adding some details. But the whole point is that on the exam, you're going to be talking about the elements and principles we've been talking about this semester. And so we're reviewing a bit, since we need to know the color wheel still. Yes, you do. That's the whole reason why we're kind of reviewing this: warm colors, reds, oranges, yellows, and cool colors, greens, blues, violets. You got the Roy section, you got the Bouv section. So keeping that in mind, so that when you're doing your exam and it says, what's an example, what are 3 examples of warm colors, you're like, oh, it's Roy. Red, orange, yellow. So keep that in mind. Do your color and spray. Have some fun with your details. Like, if I wanted little, like, flying birds. By the way, little M birds, they're not perfect M's. Like, you want to kind of just, like, boop. Like the golden arches gave up a little bit. If I wanted a little house out there, I could. I don't know. I don't know if I want houses. I think it's just nice to have, like, a little meadow. Yeah. So just have fun with it. This is more an exercise in not only using a media that we haven't really used yet with the chalk. You can blend it really easily. You do have to make sure you clean up the powder at the end. Please make sure you use your toilet paper or paper towel and wipe off your table. That way it doesn't get all over the flipping place. Okay? Boop.